Okay, so we're all feeling it, right? This kind of 21st century anxiety, the sheer psychological pressure of modern life. It's
It
intense.
really is this relentless drive to achieve and get more stuff and, be in control.
Exactly. So what if the answer, or at least part of the answer, was laid out decades ago?
Mm.
We're looking at 10 simple rules today, designed specifically for this kind of hyperspeed world.
That's the plan. We're diving into Manly P. Hall's principles for, well, achieving some inner peace. And what grabs me right away is his starting point.
Which is?
He says these pressures we feel now, they were totally unknown to our ancestors. So this isn't just nice advice. He frames it as like necessary survival gear.
Survival gear. I like that. And get this. To show how serious inner turmoil is, he points out that the ancient Egyptians actually listed worry as one of their cardinal sins. Wow. Worry. A cardinal sin. Okay, that definitely sets the stage. So let's unpack this blueprint. Hall offers, how do we find this easier, more purposeful life he talks about? Starting with our own heads, I guess. Absolutely. Mastering the inner life. And rule number 1 is blunt. Stop worrying. Simple to say.
Well, yes, but Hall is very specific. He makes a sharp distinction between worry and genuine thoughtfulness. They're not the same thing at all.
Right. And I think we often get those two mixed up, don't we?
We do. Thinking a worrier is just, being careful or conscientious.
Exactly. But Hall draws a clear line. He says, the thoughtful person, they actually plan, they find solutions.
Whereas the worrier, they just kind of get lost in it, in
Yeah.
the doubt.
Yeah, dissolves in doubt, as he puts it. And the real takeaway for you, listening, is just the sheer waste of energy. Think
Yeah.
about it. Worry makes you live through the same bad thing again and again.
Mentally, yeah, over and over.
Until it actually makes you sick, your health suffers, and often, for nothing that even actually happens.
And that constant inner churning, that unresolved agitation, it leads right into rule 9.
Which is,
Beware of anger. Hall warns that when you let ill temper take over, you're basically admitting you can't control yourself.
it sounds like a really bad trade-off. You get maybe a second of feeling, I don't know, powerful or justified.
And then the cost can be huge. Hall says a single nasty outburst of anger can mess things up so badly it takes years to fix.
Years. Wow. So if you have to disagree or disapprove, the advice is clear. Speak simply and quietly.
Hmm.
No dramatic blow-ups.
Exactly. And saying, oh, I just can't control my temper. In Hall's view, that's just admitting a pretty basic lack of self-mastery.
That demands some serious self-awareness. Which brings us, I suppose, to Rule 10.
It does. Never blame others for your own mistakes.
Oh, that's a tough one. It's so easy, isn't it? Blame the economy, blame your boss, blame that colleague.
Hall calls it a soothing illusion. It feels nice for a second, right? To say, it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, definitely.
But the problem is, if you always think your troubles come from outside, you basically give away all your power to change things.
Ah, right. If it's someone else's fault, you're just a victim waiting for them to fix it.
Precisely. And Hall argues, based on experience, that most people are living in conditions they themselves, well, largely created.
So when things go wrong, the first place to look is,
Inward, not outward. Real growth, real change only happens when you can accept your mistakes, understand them, not just, sulk about them or point fingers.
okay, so you shift from being a passive victim to someone who can actually do something.
That's the idea. Taking responsibility is where the power lies.
So if we manage to, let's say, get a handle on the inner stuff, the worry, the anger, the blame game, how does Hall suggest we deal with the outside world? Like our goals and ambitions? Do we just stop trying? No, not entirely. Let's look at Rule 3, moderate ambition. Hall isn't saying don't achieve things. Okay.
But he warns against constantly chasing goals that are, in his words, not reasonably attainable. The person obsessed with being famous or the absolute top dog in their field, no matter the cost.
Right. And they often overlook the good things they do have because they're so focused on that impossible peak.
Exactly. And Hall's observation is pretty cutting here. He says the ambitious often pay too much for what they get and are often miserable after getting it.
Ouch. So real security isn't about reaching some crazy height.
It's more about understanding your own abilities, your own capacities, and finding satisfaction there. Working happily within your limits, not someone else's definition of success.
Accepting limits. That feels related to how we deal with other people, too. It connects perfectly to Rule 2, stop domination. This one offers, frankly, a sense of relief. How so?
It's about recognizing that other people have the right to chase their dreams, their way. Life, liberty, happiness according to their own ideas, not ours.
But what about, trying to help? Giving advice to a friend or mentoring someone, Isn't that sometimes necessary? When does helping become dominating?
Hall seems to draw the line at resentment. When you keep pushing advice that's clearly being ignored or try to control people who obviously don't want your control, he calls that debilitating.
Debilitating for them or for
You're wasting your energy, your vital resources, and that hurt feeling you get when they don't listen. Hall suggests it's kind of self-inflicted because you are trying to impose your will.
So it's about respecting their space, their autonomy, even if you think you know better.
Precisely. Respecting boundaries. And that idea ties straight into Rule 8.
Which is,
Never intentionally harm any other person. And just as importantly, weed out your own negative and destructive thoughts about others.
so this isn't just about, like, physical harm, it's mental too.
Definitely. It's about the internal cost of carrying grudges, holding on to criticism, replaying wrongs done to you over and over in your head.
Why is that so bad, according to Hall? Besides just feeling unpleasant, he argues it actually reduces your effectiveness, your efficiency, and crucially, it endangers your physical health. He even makes a pragmatic point. Even if you're purely selfish, you can't afford the constant energy drain of holding a grudge. Huh. That's a great way to put it. Grudges are just too expensive, energetically speaking. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Modern life isn't just about ambition and relationships, it's also very material. What does Hall say about stuff? Ah, yes, accumulation. Rule 4, do not accumulate more than you need. This one feels particularly relevant today, it really does. And Hall uses this incredibly sharp line. There is no distinction in being the richest person in the graveyard. Oof. Yeah, that cuts through the noise.
He sees this deep, almost primitive instinct to accumulate, to hoard, and he warns that it can exert a kind of hypnotic influence.
Hypnotic, how so?
It can take over your life, become an addiction just as destructive, he says, as chronic alcoholism or addiction to narcotics. It reduces you to just a money-making machine, losing sight of everything else.
And it's not just hoarding cash,
Yeah.
right? It's also about showing it off.
Absolutely. It extends to what he calls useless displays, overly pretentious houses, lifestyles. He tells this amazing, kind of sad anecdote.
Oh, so.
There was this wealthy father whose daughter was at a very elite school. The school advised him to withdraw her because, well, she just wasn't academically capable.
Okay.
And the father, indignant, apparently told the headmaster, buy her one, I don't care what it costs. Meaning, buy her the capacity, the intelligence.
Wow. That's staggering. It completely misses the point. Completely.
Yeah.
And that's Hall's core message here. Peace of mind, contentment, real intelligence. These things cannot be bought. When we think money can buy them, we just become slaves to our possessions. The poorest of the poor, in his view. Okay, so we're stressed, maybe angry, possibly blaming others, maybe chasing unattainable goals, or just too much stuff. It makes total sense that the next rule is Rule 5, learn to relax.
Yes. And he links tension directly to acting stupidly. He even notes that for Buddhists, acting out of tension or ignorance is considered a cardinal sin. So relaxation isn't just nice, it's tied to wisdom.
Inner security leads to relaxation, he says. But how do you do that? Especially when the world feels like it's constantly demanding more.
Well, the answer isn't necessarily just stopping everything being idle. It's more about shifting your mind.
Shifting.
Yeah, to new activities, maybe less demanding ones. This is where hobbies come in. Hall insists they aren't just, a nice little pastime. They're necessary.
Necessary to avoid burnout.
Exactly. To avoid getting stuck in a one-track mind, which leads to exhaustion, he actually points to an old model for balance.
Oh, like what? He mentions the Prophet Muhammad's advice. Divide your day into 3 equal parts. One for work, one for rest, and one for self-improvement. Things like study, recreation, family time, labor, rest, self-improvement. Simple but profound.
It is, and the key is that true rest doesn't always mean doing nothing. It often means shifting your attention to something different, something pleasurable, something that engages you in a new way.
That's a really useful definition of rest. It's not just zoning out.
It's active recovery, in a sense,
How about-
avoiding that 21st century burnout. Okay, and along with relaxation, there's another crucial tool for navigating stress. Rule 6, cultivate a sense of humor. Ah, yes, the saving grace. It stops us from taking ourselves and everything else quite so deadly seriously.
And Hall has a specific target for this humor, doesn't he?
He does. He says if you must laugh at someone, let it be yourself.
Self-deprecation is a virtue.
But it's not about being cruel, even to yourself, and definitely not cruel to others. Hall insists real humor is gentle, it's perceptive, it's kind. It actually requires some depth, some compassion.
Like the traditional court jester, maybe. The one who could speak truth to power through humor.
That's a great analogy. The jester was often the wisest one there, using wit to reveal truths others couldn't say directly. Humor requires understanding.
It really is a safety valve, isn't it?
Huh.
When I feel myself getting wound up about something, sometimes just stepping back and asking, okay, is this really the biggest deal ever? Can break the tension,
Yeah.
usually with a bit of an eye roll at myself.
It puts things in perspective, which is vital as we get to what might be the deepest rule of all.
Find a reason for your own existence.
Yeah. This one goes beyond just managing stress. It's about meaning.
He suggests this is the difference between just existing like a plant and truly living.
That's right. Unless you believe in something bigger than just your own immediate needs or desire something more important than just accumulating stuff, Hall says you're sort of adrift.
Adrift.
Because the fundamental law of nature, as he sees it, is about growth. Continuous, expanding growth. Not just physical, but inner growth.
And that becomes the real measure of success, not the bank account or the job title.
Exactly. He says you succeed to the degree that you grow as a person. Wealth, status that can all disappear in an instant. But your character, who you are, that remains.
He has that great line summarizing it.
We are worth what we are, not what we own. It puts the focus entirely on inner development.
Okay, so this brings everything together. If we stop the worry, the anger, the blame, if we moderate ambition and accumulation, find ways to relax and laugh, it all serves this larger purpose of growth.
It seems so, because Hall argues that problems don't really vanish because we ignore them or run away from them.
So how do they end?
They end when we outgrow them. The moment you become bigger than the problem, maybe wiser, more patient, more skilled, the problem itself just stops being such a huge obstacle. It shrinks.
So you don't conquer the problem, you expand beyond it. It turns life from a struggle into, like, an art form.
An art of expansion, yes. So, recapping for you, the listener, Hall's foundations for a life with more peace and meaning are pretty clear. Let's list them out one more time. Stop worrying. Respect others' independence. Stop trying to dominate. Moderate your ambition. Don't accumulate more than you truly need. Learn to relax. Cultivate humor, especially about yourself. Find a purpose beyond yourself. Harm no one intentionally. Keep anger in check. And crucially, take responsibility for your own life.
That's quite a framework. Powerful and, it feels achievable step by step. So the big takeaway from this deep dive seems to be, life isn't just a battle. It can be an art.
An art we practice.
And if most of our unhappiness really comes from these inner attitudes, the worry, the striving, the resentment, rather than just what's happening outside us, then the power is internal.
It suggests it is. So maybe the question for you to chew on today is, what's one small shift, one tiny change in an inner attitude, maybe how you react to a delay or how you think about a difficult person? What small shift could you practice today that might start to change your world? Because Hall reminds us, happiness isn't just handed out. It feels like something that has to be earned.
Earned through this kind of inner work, this discipline.
Focus on earning that internal security, that inner balance, and perhaps everything else starts to fall into place.
Something to think about as you go out and practice your own art of living.